but it's not someone who is a generation or two beyond Paul. And Angus came in, everyone was very impressed and excited immediately, and so we had our Alva Keel. Now, for the part of Evelyn, this was difficult to cast because, first of all, she doesn't exist in the pilot. In the pilot that you see, as in this DVD set, there's one shot of her, and in the original pilot, it was a different actress. Now, we knew that the woman who opens the door at the end of the pilot was going to be our third major cast member, but because we didn't have lines written for her and we weren't sure exactly how that character was going to work, we did not hold extensive casting for our third lead. We cast an actress who was great, but all she did was open the door and smile and say hello and come in, Paul, and that was it. Then after the pilot was picked up and we knew this was going to be a series, we knew we had a challenge ahead of us in casting this character for whom we had never written anything. Again, saw a range of people. It was very, very late. We were already filming episodes. In fact, we had already completed, I believe, filming one of the episodes, The Ghost, and also at the same time feverishly looking for the person who would be the perfect sort of third point on the triangle. The theory in casting Marissa was we want someone obviously who is very watchable, and she is amazingly beautiful, but we wanted someone who was also normal and real, at least in terms of her character, so that we could see that Keel has been leading a strange life, and obviously Paul, in a way, has been leading a cloistered existence. But here's a woman who has had a real life, a bad, unsuccessful relationship that, she has a son, but she was never married to the father. The father is a peripheral figure in their lives. She was a police officer, so she's had, a lot of gritty real-life experiences. And then, because of incidences that occurred in her life, she stepped away from law enforcement and has joined up with Alva Keel. And we decided that we would reveal over time how the two of them came together. And that we were, obviously hoping we would have many, many years to peel away the layers of the onion. We were lucky in casting Marissa. She brought, in many ways, a real sense of stability and almost she was almost the den mother for these two poor, kind of lost guys. She was something that provided them with a family and even a child in a way. So in a way, they were kind of the weird paranormal Brady Bunch. The vision for Miracles and the backdrop against which we wanted to tell our paranormal stories was very much one of everyday life, because that, to us, was what was interesting and what would be identifiable for the audience. And we definitely brought up Stephen King. And we brought up the fact that, and I think maybe on my third reading of Christine, I actually was waiting for the first, you have a 500-page novel. When does the first bona fide, absolutely, unquestionably supernatural event occur? And I believe it was 250 pages in. Everything before that is just getting to know these characters and building suspense. And if you mention you want to do something the way Stephen King did it, people will listen to you. And Stephen King is a huge reason that I'm doing what I'm doing. So what we wanted to do was, let's not make it a Gothic show. Let's, as in the books that I've always read, where are people when the strange things happen? I have a book that talks about a haunted apartment complex in Santa Ana, California. I love that more than anything. I would love to visit the haunted apartment complex in Santa Ana. I think in the battle at Shadow Ridge, we reached the absolute zenith of my desires when we were able to depict the haunted gas station mini-mart. If a gas station mini-mart can be haunted, then I can go to sleep a happy man. Then I know this world is truly a special place. I don't need to go to a Scottish castle. So this is what we were trying for. This is what we wanted more than anything. And David Greenwald got this instantly. And he and I adopted as our buzzword for the series, mundane. Now, we never told anyone this because that's not what a network wants to hear. But we did know that that's what we wanted to portray. We wanted to let people know that, hey, you could be walking down the street, you could be at a bus station, and something strange can happen. And that's, to us, that's really exciting. So we were able to pursue that vigorously. And also, it's typically not that difficult to build the set of the inside of an apartment house or get a mini-mart to use as a location, whereas a Scottish castle might be a bit more challenging. So we were allowed to follow that as far as we wanted to, and we had a great time doing it. David Greenwalt and I were not overly concerned with the whys and wherefores and the careful plotting of an overall 10-season-long mythology in which the ultimate answer, darkness or light, would be answered. That was not something that we were concerned with. I think one reason is that David had worked on a couple of shows that had dealt heavily in that, and so he had kind of felt that he had done some of that. But also, you know, you had the X-Files. Now, the X-Files did two kinds of episodes. They did their standalones, and then they did their mythology episodes, which had to do with Mulder's sister and what was going on there. Purely from an individual point of view and a viewer point of view, I enjoyed the standalones much more than, because, look, the fact is, with these grand mythologies, ultimately, you don't want an answer. That's when it becomes no fun anymore. When someone finally goes, oh, look behind the curtain, there he is, that's Oz, good night, ladies and gentlemen. You want to leave the mystery. And for me, that wasn't difficult, because for me, that was the point to begin with. The point wasn't, I know how this story ends, and it ends with a conflagration between good and evil, and good triumphs and evil is vanquished. Because number one, I don't believe that. But number two, for me, that's not really playing fair. That is an ending that I personally believe most of us aren't going to be around for. And if the ending to humanity does come, I kind of believe it's going to come from, you know, a meteor, kind of like the kind that wiped out the dinosaurs, as we've been told. I think we bring meaning to these events, and that's what the standalone episodes of Miracles were all about. We wanted to thread through some stuff because those are Paul's concerns also. Because ultimately, we want the answer to the big story because we want the answer to our big story. That's the one I'm interested in. Where am I going to be the second after I die? Am I going to not exist at all and therefore not have to deal with the question? Or am I going to suddenly find myself in a dull motel room somewhere in an alternate dimension where I find that this was my 650th time through and I'm headed for 651, and this is just this long, long, unimaginably long ongoing process, which for me, I really hope. That's what I want. I want the dull motel room. But I want the dull motel room. I don't want the harps in the clouds. I want someone going, okay, now on to the third grade. You know, start studying, you're going down next, and you're going to play the role of, you know, well, hopefully one of Tom Cruise's kids. There was a modest plan in place for where the show would go had it been an enormous success. The first thing that would have happened is that David Greenwalt and I would have become even more unbearable. We were really looking forward to that. But in terms of the show itself, what we were looking at was more closed-ended stories. We wanted to further explore the character of Alva Kiel, what his background exactly was, and how he got to the place where he began our series. We had various episode ideas that were very much in the vein of the 13 that are on this DVD collection. But we really didn't see any further than that. We wanted to keep in play the question of, is Paul ultimately destined for good or evil? How much control does he have over that destiny, and where will it ultimately take him? Because for us, that was an interior story. That was just him questioning himself in the way that many of us question ourselves. Did I do the right thing just now in what I just did? And when the story of my life is written, will that be seen as, you know, the smartest thing I ever did, or unbelievably stupid? And because the show was from Paul's point of view, we wanted to keep him in a place of questioning in terms of his own destiny. Those were our plans. Sketchy, yes, but we knew we had plenty of time because we knew that we had at least 10 seasons to work all these things out. I love all 13 episodes. You know, I mean, this was a great experience. There's not one of them that I thought, boy, we really missed the mark here. I love them all. I mean, in a way, maybe that's the blessing. We did 13. I'm proud of all of them. There's no moment, you know, somewhere in the middle of the third season where, you know, we have a motorcycle race. What I would like to point out are certain themes. Themes you'll find in, for instance, the episode The Ghost and The Letter, which were actually conceived very close together, but that I think illustrate something that interested both David Greenwalt and I. And those are episodes about people who have achieved some sort of a